All right, Dennis, draped in gold time, baby. Your one-stop shop for NXT content all around the world. To boy, Flobo boys. But as always, I am not alone in the booth. I'm being joined by a man who still thinks Cinderella Man is one of the best movies ever made. Real Jack Farmer. What's going on, sir?
I do. It's such a classic. Well, to be fair, I haven't seen it in like 15 years, so maybe I just leave that in the old memory banks. You know, the worst thing you can do, Flobo, is go rewatch something you liked when you were younger.
Oh yeah, I can't think of a movie that happened to me recently. I don't know why Miami Vice came in my head. I never liked Miami Vice, but oh yes, Bad Boys 2. When it came out, I was like, oh, this is amazing. But watching it back, you're like, wow, this is very much a Michael Bay length movie, and it goes on and on.
That was a long movie. I remember that was the one where they were like running over all the houses in the H2 Hummers, right?
Yeah, the H2 Hummers. That is definitely on brand 2003. But yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. I remember, once we got to that point, like, this is cool, but I think I'm done. I think I'm ready for this to be wrapped up now.
Same here, because they were in Miami the entire time. It was like, my sister, we're going to Cuba. You're like, what? Why are we going to Cuba? It's been 2 hours.
Yeah, that's for part 3, man. We don't need this in part 2.
What are we doing? We're broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, LinkedIn, and Trovo. Hey, drop a comment below and we'll go through all that jazz. But before we get into NXT this week, man, have you checked out Backlash France this weekend at all? You skim it at all?
I've only been able to see the clips, unfortunately. I haven't been able to see the whole thing.
Great.
I have a rule, Flobo. Once the next episode has happened, I don't go back. And I saw Raw before I saw Backlash, and so it's too late.
Fair enough. I get that. I guess that the issue is not the issue. The topic is the whole crowd response thing. I want to ask you about this because everyone's saying the France audience was amazing. I agree. I love the phenomenal chant that AJ Styles got. But as we look at the WWE pay-per-view or PLE calendar, the next American PLE is SummerSlam in August. They're going on international PLEs all throughout the summer. So I look at NXT and it's on the road now, kind of sort of. Next PLE is going to be Battleground and Las Vegas. Do you think there should be more? Would NXT fare well internationally, you think?
Internationally, I'm not sure. I would love to see them try, though, because I think the international crowds are hungry for wrestling, and I think they're hungry to see it. And frankly, as an American fan, I think it kind of puts us to shame a little bit as far as how quiet and how uninterested our crowds can be sometimes.
What?
Well, they're always great when the whats come out. I think we really excel in the what chat chants. But
oh no,
it is a good reminder maybe how spoiled we've gotten when we see these French crowds just going absolutely bonkers for AJ versus Cody, when here in the States we're like, well, we already know how it's gonna go. I don't know if I care. Like, it really shows you how privileged we've been and how jaded we've become. I think it's good that we don't get another PLE until SummerSlam.
Yeah, I just wanted to make SummerSlam important. As you know, I'm a big SummerSlam guy. But yeah, I think France really, and Backlash, like the Backlash last year on paper going into it, was a weak show, but obviously it wasn't if the whole stadium is literally rocking back and forth. And George Hermosis in the chat says WrestleMania in Lyon, France in 2026. Yeah, that venue was tiny. I don't think that WrestleMania could be a 10,000 seat arena. That'd be kind of crazy.
It was kind of interesting. Sorry to sidetrack, but the Raw this week was in a former WrestleMania stadium, and it shows just how big WWE has grown, that they're able to do a Raw in a WrestleMania stadium now.
Oh yeah. What's I would say when MSG has a regular show, like a live event, excuse me, it's fine. But seeing Madison Square Garden when they try to do a PLE and they have like to cut out all of the staging because there's no one, it looks so weird and so awkward. So WrestleMania in Paris, that's actually a lot more likely. I'm not sure if Lyon would be the one to do it. But let's see.
I got a feeling London will get a WrestleMania before France does.
I believe the current mayor, or the one that's running for the mayor of City of London, is actually part of his plan. No, the premier, the PM, Prime Minister, wants to bring WrestleMania to London. Historically, these big events, WWE's looking for a certain kind of aesthetic, and London's been on the list for a long time. But if England is down to play ball, that should be the next step.
Well, the news is Saudi Arabia now wants one of the big ones, including a WrestleMania. So that might be the next. That might be the first big international WrestleMania on the docket.
Whoa! Isn't that Crown Jewel WrestleMania equivalent?
I mean, big equivalent or bigger than is what it was said. So they're happy to take a step down, I guess, and do a WrestleMania.
Big for all of us. Yeah.
I will say, if the truth is, if it is in Saudi Arabia, as far as the spectacle goes, they're going to make it quite the spectacle. So I think visually it'll be stunning if that happens.
Oh man, I can't imagine going. Well, I can't imagine because it's a plane ride. But just being in WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia, being 8 hours ahead of the normal time, it's like, hey guys, WrestleMania party. It's 7 a.m. Pacific.
That's where it gets a little dicey, is the times actually.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out if they do go international. Because do they want WrestleMania in the morning in the States? But I think if you think globally, you look at how big the Premier League is or the Olympics. That seems to do just fine. It actually makes it feel like a bigger deal when you got to watch it at a weird time in an odd way.
It does. It does. In terms of Moose's backlash to it, we've had actually been to Honolulu this past weekend. I actually enjoyed it. I would love to see that happen there. All right, let's get into today's NXT action. Our main event was for the NXT Women's Championship. Roxanne Perez against Chelsea Green, or Chelsea Green. Here's the deal, man. On paper, I know NXT is kind of fluid with the concept, but both of these ladies were antagonists, so I didn't know who to root for. But at the end of it all, it was the Prodigy, because apparently Booker T is biased as all heck. So I was rolling with him. Chelsea doesn't get the upper hand, but she looks pretty good in the showing. IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community, says, OMG, I wish Chelsea cooked like this on Raw. Thoughts about the match and thoughts about Chelsea Green is holding back on Monday nights.
Well, first, I want to give Booker T his flowers and just being biased. I think it's okay. We all have opinions. We all feel a certain way. I think it's great that he just leans into it instead of so many people in the IWC, so many pundits, so many analysts, they're afraid of this word called bias, Flobo. And I feel like it's a word that people don't understand. All of us, we're just giving our opinions here, Flobo. We're all biased. That's literally what it is we're all just giving, I am biased to this style. I am biased to this presentation. That's what we're doing. And we're all biased. I don't know why we hide from it. Somehow this word has been weaponized. Booker T, he's the color guy. He's supposed to have an opinion. I'm glad he leans into it. And you know what? I have opinions too. I'm not going to hide from my opinions anymore. And when I look at this, I've got to say the way everyone reacted was,
That is peak early 2000 Sean O'Hare. I'm not telling you all the things you don't already know. We're all biased, man. We're all serving ourselves. Flappuccino, what's up, man? Flap, long time no see. I appreciate
always good to see Flappuccino in the chat.
Okay, so Roxanne Perez is on that run. I still think she's going to be a transitional champ. Do you believe that she could be a forever champ in NXT?
How long does she have to be a champion before she's no longer transitional?
For me, I'll say 3 months.
How long has she had it?
About half that time. I just got up for you.
So she's got to get through Battleground, basically, to not be a transitional champion. Then I don't think she's going to be a transitional champion because I think she's going to get through Battleground. What I liked, I actually really enjoyed this matchup. I think both women did incredibly well. Chelsea Green, I think it was very cool that Chelsea Green was able to come back to NXT, a place where the NXT championship eluded her, where a lot of success eluded her, and was able to go and be in the main event, challenge for the NXT championship, and have so many people behind her wanting to see her win it. She came up short, but I still think that's kind of a cool full circle career moment for her to be able to go back to a place where she struggled and show that just how far she's come. Roxanne Perez, proven again, she's the best in NXT right now in the women's division. And I don't really know if there's a lot of people who can lay claim to taking it from her.
That is definitely true because we have a lot of women in that North American Championship Combine, which we'll get to in a minute later. So Roxanne Perez won the title at Stand and Deliver, which was 28 days ago, which is about 1/3 of the way to being a non-transitional champion. But again, the question remains, besides Lola Vice, there really isn't anyone who's not involved in the North American title Combine who's available to step up and have a chance at the NXT Championship.
Right. So I think if our goalpost is Battleground, I think Roxanne Perez gets through Battleground. I don't know who her opponent's going to be yet. I just think that Roxanne Perez gets to the other side of that as the champion. And because, again, I don't know if even Lola Vice is going to be in a position to be facing Roxanne Perez for the NXT championship. So I think Roxanne Perez pretty good spot. I feel pretty comfortable she'll get through Battleground. In fact, I think we should ask the viewers, ask the listeners, leave us a comment, leave us a 5-star review with a review that says, do you think Roxanne Perez gets through Battleground with the NXT Championship? I think she does.
Well, but she doesn't have an opponent for next month's PLE, so it's kind of hard. It's kind of an easy take, to be honest with you. Oh, she'll lose a question mark. I swear.
You asked if I think it's going to be more than transitional. You said what you gave the stakes, Flobo. What do you want me to do?
I said 3 months. Battleground is less than 30 days. It's less than 20 days away. 21.
Well,
days
then
away.
what's the goalpost?
I said 3 months. She has 30 down. She needs 60 more. That's past Battleground.
So 30 days after Battleground.
Yes, more or less.
Thereabouts. I mean, what's the event she has to get through? Because days are weird. Like it's not if day 60 or day 90 is on a Saturday, that's a weird, like, okay.
I don't know the NXT's schedule, but I would assume whatever the Great American Bash would be, whether it's late June or early July. If she gets through that, then I would say not traditional.
Okay, that is a trickier conversation. I'm going to say, yeah, I think she'll get through Great American Bash.
Wow, there we go. I watched Great American Bash be like October this year, just to make it more difficult. That's
everyone in the chat. Then let's move to the goalpost. Great American Bash, or in the chats in the comments, do you think Roxanne Perez makes it past Great American Bash Championship? I say she will.
Okay, that's a hot take. I'm going to say no, just because it would be cool to be right for a change on this show. We talked about it, or I talked about it, but there's going to be a women's North American title combine. Well, it wasn't. It actually happened already. And it was a array of physical challenges that really raises a couple of questions for me. Not so much of who was in it and who was involved, because the 12 winners were announced. That's Sol Ruka, Thea Hale, Jada Parker, Brinley Reese, Mi Chin, Fallon Henley, Last Legend, Ivy Nile, Izzy Dame, Kalani Jordan, Tatum Paxley, or Ren Sinclair. The question becomes, I felt like this was kind of glossed over, Jack. If you're going to put someone through a combine, they should have an in-depth look, maybe an NXT side special. Am I going crazy for wanting to see more of this?
Yeah, I was kind of bummed out they just glossed over it. I was very curious to see how all these women did, because they're all super athletes, and this kind of stuff fascinates me. I'd love to see who ran the fastest as it was happening and who threw the farthest as it was happening. I think they could have made this into quite an interesting thing to watch, and I'm not mad at them doing it. I think they should do it again every year. Again, I think they could really turn this into a spectacle, though. I think they could invite fans. I mean, you look at the NFL Combine and how much attention that draws. I think you could do a lot of this with NXT and get people tuning in. Something Gabe Sapolsky said on Twitter, by the way, or X, if you're following there, that I think everyone who wants to be a pro wrestler should watch is, he says, look, WWE is telling you exactly what they're looking for. Figure out how to do this stuff, get to this level. I think that's kind of a cool peek behind the curtain.
Here's that name you dropped, by the way. Shots to those. Okay, so the 12 days that were announced, we're going to have a series of qualifying matches with the six winners going on to the North American title ladder match at Battleground. But a couple of names really stick out for me, and that is namely Mi Chin and Ivy Nile. These are main roster, quote unquote, talent. They participate in the combine, and they beat a handily group of women to qualify for the qualifiers for the ladder match qualifier. Is that fair, though, to have someone from the main roster come on down to Orlando and participate and win the combine?
If you want to figure out if you can swim with sharks, you got to get in the water. And I think that that's exactly what this is, by bringing main roster talent to NXT. I think it's a great chance for these women who eventually one day want to be on Raw or SmackDown to see where they stack up. It's also a great way for Ava to see where everyone stacks up. You can't, if you want to be a champion, you can't be upset at who gets a chance at the title. You got to be willing to take on anyone and everyone. So I'm happy that they're getting these opportunities. I'm happy that they're getting these shots. I think that this is a great thing for everybody.
We got to see how it unfolds, because like I was saying, there's so many women involved in that North American title picture. There's not really much left for the NXT Women's Championship title picture. So I expect those to fall by the wayside in this qualifying session to try to see if they can try their hand at the prodigy Roxanne Perez. Mm-hmm. We got to move on, though, because we have other opportunities for new talent as well. Tyreek Igwe and Tyson DuPont had their second match ever on NXT, but this time against the No Quarter Catch Crew. And well, so many moving parts in this one. Typically, when our tag team debuts, they get the dub. Tyson DuPont and Tyreek did not last week, but had an opportunity for some redemption. And redemption they got in a match where the referee was not available. Bada boom. The family gets involved, and Channing Stacks Lorenzo donned the stripes to be involved in this matchup. And some would say it was an advantage for the rookies. Jack Farmer, the family, No Quarter Catch Crew, and Tyreek and Tyson DuPont.
Tyreek and Tyson are smart guys. They let us know that the first time they were on screen. They know what they're doing. They're intelligent, and they showed it here. They took advantage of the issues between NQCC and the family, and they used it to get the win. I think as someone who likes to watch emerging talent, though, I do want to see them able to get wins when they don't have the ref in their back pocket. Whether they chose to or not, they got to find a way to get real wins. And so far, they're 1-1, but one of those ones has a little asterisks next to it. And you know I'm big on asterisks.
Oh, yeah, you should asterisk.
That's a callback. But
deep cut.
So more of a deep cut than a callback. But they got the win. That's all that matters. And I think that No Quarter Catch Crew's seeing just how powerful and influential the family are. I like that the family is no longer pulling punches. I think for a long time they wanted to be people who won matches on their own merit, and they wanted to get things done based on good business.
That's not true.
But now
that's objectively not true. The first time we saw Tony Angelo was paying off the referee.
That was a long time ago, though.
What had happened, Jack? You can't be like,
somehow they went off the beaten path, back onto it, and now they're realizing, you know what, we do better off the beaten path. I like that. I like that they're out in the twigs and berries and not on the well-worn.
Twigs and berries is something else, so you know it.
So I like that they're doing this. They're going back to what made them successful, and that's doing things in a way that no one else in NXT is able to do. And it's getting them a lot of success. And I think that means that there's going to be a lot of victories for this family in the near future. No Quarter Catch Crew, they got to watch out what they're doing. They're picking fights on all fronts when they're in the process of losing members. It's not a very good move on their part, and they're starting to get worn a little thin.
I'm actually with you on the side of the whole No Quarter Catch Crew versus the family, because the family, they're legitimate businessmen, but I will be excused if I say these guys weren't the most jovial people on the roster, but they just did a job terribly, but they did a job. No Quarter Catch Crew didn't want to pay up after asking for a particular service. I can't say on this show. Why should I even have any bit of sympathy for Charlie Dempsey and company? Like, I don't know.
Look, I'm all about shortcutting. I'm all about doing what you can to get around things.
Aren't you a role model?
Loopholes and everything else. But at the end of it, if you make a deal, you gotta pay your end of the deal. You know, there's an honor among thieves. If you make a bet, you don't welch on a bet. You got to stand up for what you said you're going to do. And to just say, nah, I'm not going to pay you.
Yeah.
That's baloney. That's garbage. I can't stand by that. So yeah, I think No Quarter Catch Crew owes the family some money. Now they owe them a little bit more, I think. And again, I don't know if No Quarter Catch Crew is really in a position to do the kind of things that they're doing, like just not paying the family. I think they're in a position where they look around and say, one, we're a person short from what we were before. Two, this No Quarter Catch clause isn't getting as many wins as we thought it was going to get us in the first place. And three, all we have is this prestige cup, and we might not have it much longer. I think they need to reassess their situation.
Oh, you're not wrong, but this brings me to something that's on my mind.
He knows farms, and he knows market. It's Farmer's Market with Jack Farmer. Darn tootin' yeehaw.
It's Farmer's Market, where my broadcast colleague says whether you'll buy or sell stock in someone. And well, this week we saw a tag team, Tyreek and Tyson. They got the dub with an asterisk. If you were going to invest in this tag team, would you do it knowing full well how stacked the NXT roster is right now?
Yes. Yes, I would. I would buy stock in this team. Again, they're smart. They took advantage of a situation. Clearly, they got all the physical attributes you need. But the thing that really stood out for me is that they figured out how to strategically put themselves in the same room as the tag team champions And to me, that says that they may find themselves in a tag team championship opportunity sooner rather than later. Now, obviously, they've got some big names they got to get through, and they got some tough road to go before they get there. But I don't think it was accidental that they found themselves in the champions locker room. I think they know that if they rub shoulders with the right people, they'll get there, and they'll get there quick. And that tells me that these guys have the right frame of mind to go far. If I'm buying stock in this team, or if I'm asked if I want to buy stock in this team, absolutely. Get in on the ground floor.
Totally just corrupted your segment. But Demon 669 says, Tony D, my cousin, is he actually legit your cousin? Or is that a bit? I'm not really sure. Let me know if he's actually your cousin. First cousin, second cousin, third cousin once removed. Tony D, my cousin, sending people up the river. Next Heritage Cup champ. So at the end of NXT last week, we saw Tony D'Angelo get into some legitimate business with the rest of the recorded cast crew. And poor Charlie Dempsey walking outside with the sad Hulk theme music with his cup going, hey, buddies, what's going on? Is that the actions of the next North American title winner?
I think they very well could be. Again, it feels like Tony D'Angelo's pulling all the strings. Shout out Killer Demons, by the way. Thanks for coming through. It absolutely is the actions of someone who could be the next North American champion. I was hoping that the camera stuck on Charlie Dempsey a little bit longer, though. And cheers to you, Papa Zorch. We have, like, I wanted to see if he said something like, oh, they left without me again, or something. I wanted to see more of his reaction instead of just kind of like looking around, like, as he's carrying this giant trophy.
Here's the joke that only popped me. It did seem very 1990s sitcom Full House, like like one of those like going to commercial break situations.
It did, and then it comes back after that with them like sitting home alone, like and like, hey, what's wrong, Charlie? What's bothering you?
Where were you guys? Can we talk about, because Killer Demon says pay your tax. Let's talk about taxes and receipts. Your girl, Thea Hale, an absolute menace, breaking the nose of JC Jane. And well, Jasmine Nix says your day of reckoning is upon you. But this is a bigger question. One, I understand why Jasmine Nix is mad, but two, Thea Hale seems to really be a magnet for bad luck. More on that a little bit later. What do you think JC Jane's on her mind when she comes back from being healthy?
Revenge. I mean, she got punched in the face. I mean, she got punched in the face. She got her nose broken. By the way, not only did she get her nose broken, but revenge against the person who she helped. She tried to help that. She helped chase you. She helped Thea Hale. She was doing all this good stuff, and what'd she get for it? She got punched in the nose. She's gonna come back for revenge, and she's gonna get it. I think Jasmine Nix, by the way, actually has a great point. I don't understand why she hasn't been suspended for what she did.
No one gets suspended at NXT. It's kind of the Wild West out there.
There's truth to that, but maybe Ava started doing her job like the great William Regal.
Stop! No, you wanted William Regal gone so hard. You're like, oh, this guy's ready to swallow his turn.
No, I think I've always been a fan of William Regal, but he would control the room. He control everything around him. Ava letting people just run wild.
Brother.
We need I miss the days when GMs didn't have windows in their office, Flobo, so they could stay focused on their work.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 146 of Draped in Gold, and 142 of them, Jack hated on William Regal so hard, and now it's like, I wish William Regal was the man again. Are you kidding me?
I like looking back at the good old days, Flobo.
No, you don't. You always, that's in the past. You just said don't go back in the past. We're talking about Tony D'Angelo. Now is the good old days. Which one is he? A flip-floppity flopper?
I remember when he was dealing with people like Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, and he'd say things like war games, and he would just set everything right.
It's true. He should just come out and say it once a year. Like it's kind of like a thing now. It's like big meaty man slapping meat. It's like now in wrestling lore. Like you can't get rid of that.
And it's got to be him. With all due respect to everybody else, it's just not the same.
Yeah, Adam Pearce, you're a good guy, but that war games.
It's not even his fault. You just can't. It's like no one else can announce Chelsea Green the way Samantha Irvin does. Like that's just it's her thing. And the war games, I'm not an advocate for AI, but we got to get AI to kind of copy that voice. So once William Regal is gone, we can still keep this.
I'm not an advocate for AI, but can we just like use AI?
And while we're at it, let's just make him like a holographic version of him.
Yeah,
so that
exactly. He's still alive, Jack. I mean, he could do it himself.
Him and holographic Tupac can come out and he'll announce War Games.
That's right, Shorty. Okay, so talk about Chase U and Thea Hale having the worst luck, and Ridge Holland, and he made an appearance, and by far, this is the most perplexing thing in all professional wrestling. I think we talked about this in the show a couple times. Ridge Holland has bad luck inside or outside the ring. That's up for you to decide whether that's the case. But he's on this path. I can't even say war path because he's lost matches. He's won matches. He's assaulted members of Legado del Fantasma and or LWO. And he's in situations like backstage where it says, Thea Hale, you remind me of my child. I am not sure if I should root for Ridge Holland, but one thing is true. Lexis King called him a loser, and I agreed.
Yeah, I think that Lexis King has done a great job of really speaking for all of us and saying what's on all of our mind. And I think that Lexis King has really done a good job of being the voice of the people since he's come to NXT.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, Ridge Holland. Yeah, I get it. You're trying, but we see right through you. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what are we doing here, man? You gotta flare it up a little bit if you're gonna try to be sneaky about things. Come on,
Sure.
but how obvious can you be? I mean, the crazy thing here is that Chase U, they're so focused on trying to steal another bunch of tuition from some sucker, they can't even see the fact that it's Ridge Holland. What are we doing? What are we even doing here?
You let me know. You're the voice of reason, unfortunately, on the show. I thought you had an idea.
I mean, they're like, listen, we can get our grubby hands all over that sweet Ridge Holland tuition money if we get him to join the school. Then they don't even see that this guy clearly is a nutcase. I mean, he's attacking people, he's beating people up, and then he's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. One day he wants to go on a murder spree. The other day he's like, family's the most important thing to me. Steer clear of Ridge Holland. He's if you can get Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I'll take that. But Ridge Holland, he's too unpredictable.
Unfortunately, it's a package deal. But I'm with you because somehow Ridge finesses Duke Hudson to be the person to step up against Lexis King. And then a match actually happened with Lexis King getting the dub. Two questions here. Chase U having bad luck, ? And Lexis King, is he still the guy?
Still the guy. He got a win, even though the ring was completely surrounded by people trying to stop him. I mean, I haven't seen a victory overcoming odds like this since DDP got a win over the NWO. Dude. I mean, there was an entire gang of people out there with weapons, but somehow Lexis King found a way to overcome and get the win. He's
not a people's champ at all.
In what ways is he not the people's champ? I think they both live in Florida. Their hair very similar, and if Lexis King stays tanning, they're going to have a very similar skin complexion. I think Lexis King is like the second coming to DDP. I don't know what you're talking about. Bang!
You have gone off the rails, and I hate the fact that you use DDP after this week, realizing that there is a lyric page for his theme song in WCW. I'm still laughing at that. Okay, fine. Lexis King, when he got signed to NXT, there was a lot of talk of him really being the guy to shed his previous characters, no matter where he performed, and being his own man, being the conscience of NXT. He's still there. He's still winning matches, but has he cooled off a bit, in your opinion?
Well, he definitely did cool off a little bit. He wasn't on TV as much. And Flappuccino, Gators champ. Listen, I can't let you get past it. Guys, you got to go Google the lyrics to DDP's theme song. You'll be blown away by you'll be blown away by the poetic lyrical mastersism. I mean, step back, Kendrick and Drake. This is where the real wordplay is in DDP's theme song. But yeah, Lexis King cooled down a little bit. He wasn't on TV quite as much, and that's always going to hurt. Now, that means he's clearly putting in the work. You can tell by the way his facial hair is all lined up that he's taking this very seriously, and he got back with a win. So did he cool down? Yes, but I think he's going to be able to get right back on track.
Well, this brings us to this week's general manager pick'em. Shout out to me transitioning to the transition. Okay, general manager pick'em. So I asked my broadcast colleague Jack Farmer as if he is the general manager of NXT because he's also an Ava hater apparently.
Well, first thing you do is you get rid of the windows. That's how you become a good GM, like William Regal.
Fantastic track record. Remember that on NXT UK, the general manager had a new office every week. Besides the point.
Well, there's two of them.
There was. Well, we can't talk about the assistant to general manager because Johnny Satan was never at work. I'm like, are you really assistant
now,
if you never showed up?
A general manager, never showed up to work, had someone else do everything for him.
Like,
Johnny Satan. Now he was a general manager you could be proud of.
Anyway, Chase U seems to be fraying off at the ends. Thea Hales have her own problems, and the win-loss records haven't been great. Duke Hudson, even though he's still the MVP, has some losses. In all seriousness, if you had a chance to look at the NXT roster post the draft, is it time to disband Chase U?
Well, this is kind of a serious question you got to look at, and I kind of look around at the general climate, and I don't really like to get into this kind of stuff on a wrestling show, but I mean, as we're trying to forgive student loans, and the government is trying to take on these for-profit colleges, I absolutely think the DOJ needs to investigate Chase U and their practices and break this up before it gets more out of control and hurts the futures of some very young Americans.
They're operating on your premises, general manager. Why don't you do something about it?
Do they pay rent?
I would assume so.
Well, then I think we need to leave them alone and let capitalism do what it does. We can't have the government poking its nose into every single business. Otherwise, no one will be able to operate. And I just believe in a free market, Flobo. So let them run their business and let them continue to pay rent.
He literally just said DOJ, JK. I'm over it. It's fine. Let's talk about things that are kind of silly as well. We had one of the most interesting episodes of Supernova Sessions ever because there was a mystery besides what was inside the envelope. We got an answer. It was a picture of Noam Dar's leg being underneath the ropes, which by the bylaws of professional wrestling makes that match result invalid. And Noam Dar wants an opportunity at Trick Willy NXT Championship. But the thing everyone's talking about on the social webs is that Last Legend dropped the B word when referring to Trick. And now I'm talking about that B word. I mean, babe. Jack Farmer, Supernova Sessions, Last Legends, is metaphor going to get broken up by the Yoko Ono that is Trick Willy?
Well, there is a lot of stuff here that's happening, right?
Nope, none at all.
Good point. We'll move on. First off, now I have been a Trick Williams supporter since the very beginning, and you can check the receipts on that. I have been someone who believes
I agree with you,
Trick
Jack
Williams.
It's fine.
However, I'm a little bit worried about Trick Williams. He's only been the champion for a little bit, and already letting the star power come to his head, starting to get an overinflated ego. Here he is, jumping on every single talk show he can to talk about himself. And sometimes when you do that, you get caught. Instead of trying to be a superstar, Trick Williams, maybe you should start trying to be a champion. Instead of trying to make it all about yourself, coming on every single talk show that'll put a microphone in your face, maybe you got to get in the ring and have some matches. That's what worries me about Trick Williams. Noam Dar, on the other hand, clearly using empirical evidence that is undeniable, shows that he technically should be NXT champion if you go back and do the butterfly effect after what happened, if he had his foot under the ropes. Noam Dar really should be the NXT champion right now. And I feel like it's kind of one of those Reggie Bush Heisman Trophy things. You should just give the NXT championship to Noam Dar at this point.
Okay. You don't do that. You have to win a match fair and square to become champion. We all know that. Champion's advantage and all that.
Well, I mean, I think if you've kind of played out in your head, the foot's under the ropes, how the match goes, the way the rest of the story turns out, Noam Dar kind of is the champion.
You know what? The sad thing is, I agree with you. If this is valid, which it seems to be, wasn't doctored, Noam Dar should have an opportunity against Trick Williams in the ring. My question for you is that this was a match photo, an official one, and it was on the website for weeks. And to parade it around as a mystery is kind of Bush League, was it not?
Well, not Bush League. I think this is when you reveal something like this, you want it to be done in a big spotlight. Otherwise, it gets swept under the rug. And I think that's why Noam Dar was so smart to lure Trick Williams into his clutches onto his show. He knew that Trick Williams was just full of himself after this big title win, knew that Trick Williams had an overinflated sense of ego now that he's the champion, and he knew that he'd walk right into this. I think it was a very well played game of chess by Noam Dar.
And Lash Legend, do you think she's going to break away and have some of the Trick Willy Wonka? He actually said that, guys, and that wasn't my joke.
That was pretty funny. Look, Lash Legend, I can't blame her. Trick Williams is come on. Trick Willy Wonka, I can't blame her.
I don't I don't want to do that. Okay. Yeah, moving on, man.
Do you blame Lash Legend?
Well, this is an award-winning program, as you can tell over there. I cannot divulge into relationships, but yeah, I get it.
I mean, look, Lash Legend, do your thing. Just don't worry about it.
Well, real quick before we move on from Metaphor, back outside in the parking lot, and no one got beat up there. Javon Evans got in Metaphor's face, man, because he's super bouncy. I know that he might be a challenging. I do feel like Metaphor is pretty much not long for this world, sir.
Just because Javon Evans was outside trying to talk to them?
What killed the Roman Empire? Internal and external forces.
Javon Evans had nothing to do with the Roman Empire. I'll tell you that much.
That's not what I'm saying. It was
look, Metaphor is stronger than ever just because, look, Noam Dar is going to win the championship that he should have won already. And everyone's going to look back and be like, wow, Jack was right. Metaphor is great. They're on top of the world. They're the best thing going in WWE right now. Lash Legend, I think if everything works out, maybe Trick Williams ends up getting to join Metaphor at that point. Meta 5.
Why?
Because, if it's romantic and they get married, he'll marry into the group. I think it just makes a lot of sense.
Hello. Hear me now. It's not nearly as cool. That's whoop that trick. Whoop.
Oh, we
like it. Yeah, man.
We disagree on what is cool, then, sir.
Quite so. Indubitably, my good man.
Hello. I think live from the moon is the coolest thing you could say.
That's how we get. We're gonna have.
Hear me now.
Yeah, if I remember the best man at a wedding, that's how I'm gonna start my speech. Hello. Hear me now.
And you're gonna end it with check, please.
Check. Oh my God, I'll probably be banned. Let's get into our women's division. We had a lot of showcase matches here, but the one that gives me the most question marks over my head, as we shout out to Dylan Matthews for making that GIF happen, was Michin against Ariana Grace, and not for the reason you're thinking. Of course, NXT's an open door, main roster talent that come on down. Michin, even though I still prefer Mia Yim, comes out in our matchup, but Ariana Grace is seeming to be best buds with Chelsea Green, much to the chagrin of Gigi or Georgina Dolan. Ariana Grace seems to be rocking and rolling, even though she got the L this week on NXT.
That is me. Do you consider Michin different than Mia Yim?
Yes.
Is this a different person, or is it just a different name?
Oh,
is it Walter Gunther, or is it?
This is a really bad example, but I think it's supposed to be like Finn Balor, Demon Finn Balor, because when she got signed, she joined OC or the OC. It was Michin. It's Korean for crazy, I believe, Korean for unhinged. And I get it, but it hasn't really reflected. So I'd rather her go back to being Mia Yim than Michin.
She was doing that though.
Yeah, going back to the HBIC.
Well, in any case, I feel like it's more of a Walter Gunther situation than it is a totally different person than a Husky Harris, Bray Wyatt situation.
But let me ask you this. If I said, have you watched a Michin match? You'd be like, is that a stipulation? Right? It sounds like a stipulation.
I prefer the name Mia Yim as well.
All right, then.
Absolutely.
That's what we're arguing about.
Absolutely. But I take a strong
You're the
stance.
Stephen A. Just argued for no reason.
I don't argue with anything, Flobo. I've never argued.
What about LeBron's legacy? Okay.
I think I'm more of it. But Tim Tebow is the greatest quarterback.
Oh no, former New York Met, Tim Tebow.
So one of the Mets' best players, I think they've ever signed. One of the greatest signings they've ever had.
I will boot you off the show. I swear to God.
The legendary. I hope they build him a statue. Look, Michin got a much needed win. I think this was great. Great for her. My big takeaway from this is really serious. I think that I just hope that Georgina really appreciates everything that Ariana Grace is doing for her by splitting her attention and really costing herself wins because she's so focused on helping Georgina become a better person. That is selfish personified.
Gigi's gonna snap. Now, again, I have huge problems with this.
Georgina. I know you don't like name changes, but this one is serious.
It's Gigi. Okay. Fine. Georgina. I have a lot of questions about this. It's very questionable. They had the matchup about a month ago. There was no stakes. It wasn't like a wagers match. She loses it, Gigi does, or Georgina does, and still hangs that way around a Grace. Why she did that, I have no idea. Maybe
that was
she
the stipulation.
It wasn't. It was not an official stipulation. Usually it is.
If I beat you, then you have to let me make you over, or whatever they call this.
That was a one-time trip to the store or whatever it is, and she's still hanging out with her. It's been like a month.
She hasn't really embraced. She hasn't really done it yet. Like when Tiffany Stratton went to the ranch, she had to actually help. She couldn't just be there and be like, "No, I'm not scooping up any horse poop." She had to actually do the work, and Georgina has yet to fully commit to the work. And so until she has fully committed, she hasn't lived. You can't say that No Quarter Catch Crew can just walk away and not pay, but then at the same time say Georgina shouldn't live up to her end.
I didn't say that. I think Tony Angels are right. they should beat them up.
Right. You know? Well, if Georgina lost, Georgina owes this to Ariana Grace now. She's got to face the family.
There was what?
Or Ariana Grace's family, I guess.
Yeah, there was no Santino. There was no stipulations in their name's going to be changed, but whatever. She's still in the background. It's coming to a head. Looks like the next couple of weeks.
Well, I just think that when I look back at this, Georgina has been so selfish to not embrace this, and I don't think she realizes the damage she's causing and just how selfish she's being.
Just because you wear suits, man, I think you have a biased interest in this one. Just putting it out there.
Did you not hear my bias rant earlier?
Fair enough. I did hear that. That was pretty much on brand. But your friend, Fallon Henley, the rancher, had a match against Kalani Jordan, who really wanted to get some revenge of what she did at Thea Hell. But Kalani comes up short. Even though both women are in the NXT Combine, it seems head-to-head, Fallon Henley got the dub. Poor Kalani was crying after the match. I felt sorry for her.
Well, Kalani is getting involved in business that doesn't involve her. I don't know why she's sticking her nose in other people's business.
You don't fight for the honor of your friends, Jack?
I mean, look, Booker T says it all the time. Keep your nose out of other people's business, especially when they've been sitting on a ranch for too long. You definitely don't want to stick your nose in that business. But you know what I've noticed about Fallon Henley is she's talking about doing things for herself and no longer for her friends. And you're starting to see a much more aggressive, much more victory-oriented Fallon Henley. And I think it's because, again, nothing about her friends. Notice she's no longer helping at her friends in her bar, helping her friends at the bar. No longer helping her friends at the ranch. I think the farther she gets away from the ranch, the more wins she seems to get. I think that Fallon Henley may finally find a way to separate herself from the ranch. This is a going clear moment, Flobo.
Hold on. So that actually raises a good question, because I understand that wrestling is not ballet, and sometimes you have to look out for yourself and invest in yourself and buy back your own farmer's market stock. I don't know. But it felt like Fallon Henley was fine. It felt like no one was bothering her. She was well liked backstage. She was getting matches. She was getting television time. She was getting wins here and there. Why the change of heart? Has not told me why she decided to switch it up.
Good is the enemy of great, and ranches are the enemy of farmers. And Fallon Henley, the less she associates with the ranch, the more wins she gets. I think that's mathematical, Flobo. You can't argue it.
Jack Rancher says it himself. Elsewhere in the women's division,
Jack Rancher, the Shelbyville version of me.
Shelby. I like how, like, I bet most people haven't watched The Simpsons in like 20 years, but that still cuts deep. Shelbyville. Oh, hey, there's a limb behind that rock. All right, Shayna Baszler is back at NXT. Looks like for a little bit of extended time with a match against Carmen Petrovic. Remember last week? Looks like Shayna was choking her out in that NXT Underground match, what caused Natalya the dub. And this time, Shayna Baszler got the dub as well. It seemed to be light work for Baszler, understandable because she really was the most prolific women's NXT champion of all time. But if you're Natalya, do you still want to hang around a loser like Carmen Petrovic?
I love that you said this because light work for Shayna was literally in my notes. Definitely made an easy go of it. Bias, ranchy. Carmen has nothing to feel bad about.
Nope.
This is totally this. She was not put in a position to succeed, and that's why I'm frustrated with Natalya. I'm frustrated that Natalya put someone so young and new in pro wrestling against someone, as you said, one of the most prolific NXT women's champions of all time, possibly the most. I mean,
I would say so. She's like the best.
I think Asuka may be the only one that you could
Fair
compare.
enough.
But at the end of the day, we're splitting hairs. The point is, I don't know why Carmen was put in a situation where she was in the ring with someone that violent, someone that dangerous this early on. I think she put up a fight, and I think she did well as much as she could. But I look at Natalya and I think, why are you putting someone who's supposed to be a protege to you in a situation like this? I also look at Natalya, and she kind of has a history of getting people who are her protege, putting them in harm's way very quickly. I don't know if it's a Hart family dungeon. You gotta learn to sink or swim right away. I did like, though, at the end, Natalya, she echoes things that I say all the time on this program, and that is you need to find aggression. She needs to find that killer instinct. I say it all the time. I think that Natalya probably a fan of the show. Thanks for watching, Natalya. I appreciate it.
I bet you know we're alive, man.
You should. I'm just saying, you can't put your proteges in this kind of situation. You got to let them have a chance to get some wins, get some confidence. The waters were too deep for someone this new to the pro wrestling business.
First of all, I love the fact you call this show a program. That's very old school.
Legitimizes it, doesn't it?
Yeah, this program is my favorite. But I'm actually with you. And again, it's not against Carmen herself. I mean, she's basically like a means to an end in the situation. But you're Natalya. You have the Guinness World Records for the most women's matches, most women's victories, and most women's losses. That's besides the point. You are a legend to have, but Carmen was going into a buzzsaw that is the submission magician and tapped out. She did. If you're Natalya, though, is it really? I would say she should walk away, maybe find somebody else. But can Carmen be saved or retrained or get that killer instinct later, or is it a losing endeavor?
It's going to be tough. It's not too late. Carmen's got too much talent to give up on, but it reminds me a lot of when you have that rookie quarterback and you put them in there for their first game, the very first game of the season, and it's against one of the most brutal defenses in the league, and they get destroyed. You're not putting them in a position to succeed. And now you're going to have to kind of uncoach that situation out of them so they don't live in fear of that moment happening again.
What is Johnny Manziel doing these days? Anyone know?
I think he's still playing.
Oh, is he really? Wow. Oh, no, he's playing for something, the FCF Zappers of the Fan Control Football League as of 2 years ago. Okay, there you go.
Oh, well,
Jack's right. Prove it here.
I just said he's playing. I didn't say.
Hey, yo, Manziel, you playing Madden? Yeah.
Yeah. Right again.
All right, let's bring it out here. Our last match is actually our first match of the evening. It was Wesley returning from injury and his first match back against a very flappable or affable Josh Briggs, someone I thought 2-3 months ago was going to be the next big thing. Now, Josh was 0 for his last 2 heading into this matchup and now was 0 for 3. The Cardiac Kid gets the dub, but the X Factor was somebody who looks a little bit different on Tuesday nights. It's Ivar, and that different voice, I guess, was on commentary getting involved after the matchup. So it looks like Josh Briggs has his next opponent. What makes you say of Wesley's return?
I have to quote a tweet I saw, and I wish I wrote down who said it so I could properly credit, but it was Ivar's dressed like a biker. Does that mean when Eric comes back, they'll be the Biking Raiders?
Oh, boo. Because if you have a motorcycle, you don't say you're biking. That doesn't make any sense. You want to go biking this weekend, bro? No, we don't.
I would absolutely love this. Is if for anyone who's watched Super Troopers, if you haven't, you should go see it. But I don't know if you remember the scene where one of them is all in leather and the other one's all in tights, and like they were meeting secretly, and one of them's all in leather, one of them's all in tights. The guy goes in tights, goes, "Oh, biker, I get it now." I would love for Eric to come back in spandex with a helmet and be like, "Oh, biker."
The Biking Raiders, I swear. Oh my god.
Well, let's talk some serious business here.
Oh, now we're being serious.
Flobo, I'll get the show back on the rails.
I hate you. I think you're part rancher after all. I gotta be honest with you.
Nope. We're farm people. We are the backbone of America.
Farmer strength. Yeah.
From Tacoma, Washington, known for its great farming community. Wesley, I thought he looked great. I think he did a great job coming back. I think this was a tough one for him to come back to. When I first saw that this was his first match back, I was a little bit like, Wesley, what are you doing here? You got to take baby steps. But I think this shows that he's serious about what he wants to accomplish. He's not here to have fun. I think that the fact that he didn't take the high risk right away was a good sign that he is looking to be more diverse in his attacks. I liked everything except for the dive to the outside. I think that was a bad move by him, and the dive to the outside on Ivar and Josh Briggs, I should say. He was in a situation. Those two are fighting. Those two are on their own. You've got to win. You got to look forward to that North American Championship. You got a tough battle ahead. Let those guys fight for the consolation prize. Let those guys do their own. Don't get mixed up in their business. That's behind you now. Go towards the North American Championship. The fact that he dived on them made me think that maybe he's not as focused as he needs to be. But other than that, I liked the match.
I guess he's the self-proclaimed king of the West Side. Gets the win here. Now there's a bit of talk about trajectories, right? So Wesley is according to Vic Joseph, the greatest North American champion of all time. I would assume you're trying to go for a bigger splash and go up the main event scene and go off Trick Williams first. But also, he wants to go back where it's comfortable. And Josh Briggs is somebody which 3-4 months ago I was saying is the next big thing, and it's cooling off a bit. So to me, even though on paper it looks like Josh Briggs had the advantage, I would say Wesley does. Now, if you're Wesley, why is the North American title your number one goal? Wouldn't you want to show people you're more durable? Wouldn't you want to show people you can get some wins together? Wouldn't you want to go after Trick Williams? Wouldn't you want to be on SmackDown? Wouldn't you want to have your own talk show on Wednesdays opposite the bump like we do? I mean, something else, right? Not go back to what you're doing before you were injured.
Yeah, this ratings war between us and the bump, it's getting good. We're gonna drive a gold tank over to
we're getting closer.
Headquarters.
We got 4 viewers right now, and it's gonna have 5, and then
if we can just get a lot more, then maybe we'll be we'll be able to take him on. But I think with Wesley, I at first glance I agree with you. I think I would like to see Wesley go for that NXT championship. I'd like to see him face Trick Williams. I'd like to see him on main roster. And I think at first glance it can appear like maybe a lateral move to just stay in the North American Championship division. But I think back to the wrestlers of our youth and the people who were in that Intercontinental Championship division and how they captured our imagination, and they're people now we love for the rest of our lives, like the Mr. Perfects, like in many ways the Bret Harts, like the Honky Tonk Mans. NXT North American Championship, that might be something he's looking at making his new era Intercontinental Championship, so that someday kids that are watching today grow up and say, yeah, Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, they were the NXT champions. But you know what I really liked was that North American title. I really liked watching Wes Lee, the workhorse, go out there every single week. He was my favorite. I think maybe Wes Lee might be saying, those are all great. I can create something new with the North American Championship and be that person that kids look up to their entire life with this.
I like it. Mike Wexler says this. Thanks for being in the chat there, Sock Monkey Mike. His unpopular opinion: North American title greater than United States title. And I gotta say, it's not really unpopular at all. If you're only taking in the United States title as like the WWE expression, right? When you put in the WCW history, I disagree. But as far as the United States Championship has been in WWE, even though it's being held by Logan Paul, the North American title is far more desirable, I think.
Well, how many people who have been the North American champion have become the world champion?
World as an NXT world or like WWE world?
I mean, let's talk about the big one, WWE world.
WWE
or world or universe, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
All the variations of the top championship.
The only one that comes to mind is, I would say, is Finn Balor. Did he win the NXT?
I don't think he ever was
the NXT champion. Then I'm not sure. I'm thinking it applies to anyone
then I don't know if I could say that. The U.S. championship has been held by former and future world champions. So I would have to say that currently the U.S. championship is still greater than the North American championship. That said, though, the North American championship is still fairly new, right, and that could absolutely change over the future years.
No, I get it. So you disagree on the premise that the North American title is more popular. Therefore, you support what Mike Wexler is saying is an unpopular opinion. Right now, the North American title is better or more hotly contested than the United States title.
I don't know if I'd say it's unpopular because I think a lot of people would probably side with you. So, but I just disagree with the statement.
Well, you know what? You disagree all the time. That's what you do. You debate with your biases.
I've never disagreed ever in my life.
I hate you. And the Viking Raiders is terrible. That's the worst sitcom I've ever heard.
The Viking Raiders is great. Come on.
Ivar, what's the deal? Looks different on Mondays and does Tuesdays. Does that matter to you?
Yeah, it's weird to me. Pick a lane. If you're going to be on the bike, pick a lane. It does bother me a bit. And I don't like that he's the Viking when he wrestles, but he's the biker when he's not. I would like to see him pick a lane.
Do you think he's an actual Viking?
Though.
Do you want him to be an actual Viking? Yeah.
I hate to be this guy, but man,
be that guy. Be that guy. Be
Black
that guy.
And gold Viking Raiders when they were the War Raiders were so cool. Like I was so into that. And I hate to be like, oh, back in the old days they were so cool, but there was definitely a vibe to them that was different back in those days. And I think that if they could find a way to get back to that, then they're on to something.
Well, so you're trying, if you play basketball with the Street Profits, there's no coming back from that.
Well, if you win.
Fair.
I think they did win. I mean, Ivar dunked, I think.
He won basketball, but they lost the challenge. The 10 chores of Street Profits or whatever.
Because they lost the axe throw, I think, too.
Well,
but they won the chicken leg eating.
What was the golf one? Okay, whatever. That's the point. I'm with you. I think the Viking Raiders were an interesting concept on Raw, but the War Raiders, I guess because the brand back then, NXT, was so dark to begin with. It was like it looked like they were almost like Aleister Black, almost looked like they were like evil or otherworldly, it seems.
Yeah, it hit different. But you do have to figure out, are you going to be a biker or a Viking? You can't bounce back and forth because when I see the more they bounce back and forth, the more silly each one looks.
Yeah, I'm with you. And before we wrap this all up, we got one more stop for you. Now time for our favorite segment of the show. It's the MVP of NXT. So we're going to ask you, who's the one that stuck out for you the most in this week's edition of NXT?
To me, it's easy. It's Tony D'Angelo. I mean, he took control of the tag team division matchup. He took control of the officials. He took control of the Heritage Cup situation. He neutralized an opposing faction. I mean, he absolutely showed how powerful he is. Tony D'Angelo to me.
Yeah, I'm actually with you. I actually had Channing Stack Lorenzo, but for all the reasons of Tony D'Angelo, right? Getting involved in the matchup. And actually the first runner up for the general manager question is, what would you do if a ref was removed? Is he gone? Would you replace him? Would you find Channing Stack Lorenzo? I love playing with the rules of this. I'm playing the WWE 2K storyline now, and there's things like this where it's like just beyond the thing of what you think is possible. I think it was amazing, really tipped the scales. The family walks away with a straight dub this week on Draped in Gold. Daddy.
Absolutely. I don't think it's tough to argue. Great week from the family.
Well, we back here next Wednesday to talk more about NXT and everything that's going on inside of it. But look, man, this guy here at Jack Farm, he's doing so many things. I'm trying to wait for his next merch drop. Tip Top Hip Hop Volume 4. Wait for all that stuff. Jack, if I want to follow you or connect with you, how I'll go about doing that?
I'm glad you asked, because the easiest way to follow me is at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. You can check me out on the things I'm working on for Wrestling Inc. You can also check me out doing commentary and ring announcing and all that good stuff. In fact, I'm going to be doing ring announcing for Prestige Wrestling on May 16th. If you're in Los Angeles, come see the show live. If not, check it out on IWTV. The main event, I think it's the main event anyways, is one of the biggest matches on the show is going to be Shelton Benjamin versus Josh Alexander in what has to be a dream match for me. I'm very excited to get to see that. Also, Alex Shelley versus Timothy Thatcher is going to go down on that one, as well as a bunch of other big matches. So absolutely either be there or watch the show. It's going to be can't miss.
Whoa, Shelton Benjamin against Josh Alexander?
Yeah.
What is the over-under on Snapmares?
Oh, I think let me put it this way, Flobo. They know that there is a quick key Snapmare button on all the old wrestling video games.
That still gets me so mad. Not as mad as DDP's lyric page, but it gets me like, who wants to do Snapmares if you don't get anyway?
Forget going to at Real Jack Farmer. Go look up the lyrics to DDP's theme song. You'll be blown away by just someone was credited with writing that song.
Someone transcribed it and put it on the biggest lyric page site on the planet.
I want to imagine them like listening to it and be like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No more word. Is he going to say something else? No.
Did he say good God or good God?
Good God. Good God. That was the best part, is the good God.
Yeah. I think that'll pop me. Our fans like, what's going on? I love this show.
Just go look up the lyrics. You guys will love it. I mean, it'll take you a while to read it all, but it's good.
Drapedingold.com to learn more about the show. And I know this is kind of a side project, kind of a thing I've been working on the past couple of months, but since you guys are in the inner circle, not literally, but you're in the same circle, it's called justthisandwich.com. It's my attempt at doing a sports comedy blog. If you like to see me complain and rant about things, check it out. It's called justthisandwich.com. But until next time, until episode 140 plus of Draped in Gold, Jack Farmer said the words.
Do your best and be yourself.
What the heck is...